I should have let it go, but some fires never die no matter how long you've buried them. Welcome back to my tangled tale of love and betrayal. If you're new here, thanks for stepping into my world, a world of heartache, desire, and secrets that burn the soul. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more stories of love, longing, and forbidden whispers. Let's dive in. Some hearts never stop beating for each other, even after years of silence. That's what hit me like a freight train when I saw his name again. I was folding laundry in the quiet of my suburban Chicago home, the kind of place where dreams go to settle when the email landed. An invitation from my old high school in Evanston, a 15-year reunion. I nearly trashed it without a second thought. But then I saw it James Harper was attending. James, the boy who'd filled my world with laughter that echoed like church bells and promises whispered under a star-drenched Indiana sky. The boy who vanished without a word, leaving a hole in me that never quite healed. I told myself I was over him, that I was happy with Michael, my husband of 18 years, and our 2 beautiful kids. But seeing his name again woke something deep inside me, a forgotten melody I couldn't shake. That night I mentioned the reunion to Michael. "You're really going?" he asked, his voice tinged with surprise, his eyes searching mine like he sensed a storm brewing. "Just to see some old friends," I said, keeping it light, casual. He shrugged. "Just don't stay out too late." I smiled, but my mind was already elsewhere, walking the crowded halls of Evanston High, James's hand warm in mine, the world ours for the taking. The night of the reunion I dressed with care. Not flashy, but enough to remind myself I was still alive, still a woman who could turn heads. A red dress hugged my curves like a lover's whisper, my hair falling in soft waves around my face. I wanted to feel like the woman I was before life became a predictable script of carpools and casseroles. The gym was alive with laughter and memories, faces both familiar and faded. Then I saw him. James. Time had touched him. Silver streaked his temples, his jaw sharper, more weathered. But those eyes still held that spark, the one that stole my breath and held it hostage. Our gazes locked, and for a moment the room dissolved. He walked over, his smile soft but sure. "Laura," he said like the years hadn't dared touch us. "James," I breathed. We talked like no one else existed, like the world had stopped just for us. That night I laughed harder than I had in months, his voice warming me like a fire I'd forgotten how to kindle. As the music slowed and couples drifted closer on the dance floor, James asked if I wanted some air. I should have said no, but my heart screamed yes. Outside, the night was cool, the moonlight spilling over the empty football field where we'd once dreamed of forever. He took my hand, his touch gentle but electric, like a match struck in the dark. "I never stopped thinking about you," he confessed, his voice low, raw. I wanted to believe him, to believe maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something new. I didn't kiss him. Not yet. But as he held my hand, I felt a thrill I hadn't known in years, a pulse of life I thought I'd buried. Driving home, I trembled, staring at my phone. Should I text him? My fingers moved slow, deliberate, then hit send. "Can we talk again sometime?" And just like that, the past came rushing back. My heart pounded like a drum in my chest. "Can we talk again sometime?" Simple words heavy with hope and dread. I stared at the screen, minutes dragging like hours until his reply came. "I've wanted to hear that for years. James." I smiled, warmth spreading through me, even as guilt churned like a storm in my gut. Our texts started cautious, catching up on lives lived apart. But each message chipped away at the walls I'd built. James told me about his life, his regrets, the silence he'd carried since he left. I shared carefully, skirting the cracks in my marriage, the loneliness that clung to me like damp wool. Our messages grew longer, deeper, until a flirtatious edge crept in, sweet and dangerous, reminding us of who we'd been. One night, as I tucked the kids into bed and Michael was distracted by a late meeting, my phone lit up, "Meet me for coffee tomorrow." I held my breath. The idea terrified and thrilled me. I nearly didn't go, but something whispered, "This might be your last chance to remember what love feels like." At the coffee shop, James was waiting, his smile both familiar and new, like a song I hadn't heard in years but knew by heart. We talked for hours, dreams, mistakes, the years lost between us. The world outside our quiet corner faded away. When I reached for my cup, our hands brushed a spark, igniting where our skin met. He looked at me, really looked, and whispered, "I never stopped hoping for this moment." I wanted to believe him with everything I had. Later, walking through a nearby park, the sky painted in pinks and golds, I leaned into him without thinking. His arms wrapped around me, strong and warm. Then his lips brushed mine, a soft, hungry kiss full of promises we had no right to make. I pulled back, gasping, trembling. "I shouldn't have done that," I whispered. "Neither should I." He said, his voice thick with feeling. That night I lay awake, his kiss burning on my lips, a storm raging in my heart. Could I take this back? Should I? What would Michael say? I had no answers. But one thing was clear. James wasn't just a memory anymore. The next morning, sunlight poured into the bedroom, but I was restless, my mind tangled with James and that forbidden kiss. Michael was downstairs, humming softly as he brewed coffee, his routine a stark contrast to the chaos in my soul. I tried to act normal at breakfast, but Michael caught my distant look. "Everything okay?" he asked, his voice gentle. "Just tired," I lied. He reached across the table, squeezed my hand. "You can tell me anything you know." I wanted to, but the truth was a blade twisting inside me. How could I confess the return of a love I thought I'd lost? That afternoon, James texted again. "Can I see you tonight, just to talk?" My fingers hovered over the keys. Maybe I typed, unsure if I was opening a door I couldn't close. As evening fell, Michael worked late. The house was quiet, save for the ticking clock, and my heart pounding like a guilty verdict. James arrived, and the air shifted the moment he stepped inside. We talked about everything and nothing, hours slipping by unnoticed. Then, like a force we couldn't fight, he reached for me. Our lips met, deeper, urgent, a kiss that drowned out the world. I was torn between the life I'd built and the passion I'd buried. Then the front door swung open, a sound that shattered the moment like glass. Michael stood there, eyes wide with shock and hurt. "I thought you were at work," I stammered. He said nothing, his silence louder than any scream. The weight of betrayal hung heavy in the air. That night our house was colder than ever. Michael's silence was a wound deeper than any argument. James left, leaving me with the wreckage of my choices and a heart more broken than before. The days that followed were heavy with silence and unanswered questions. Michael barely spoke, and when he did, his voice was cold, laced with the pain I'd inflicted. I tried to explain, to say how lost and confused I'd been, but words were useless against the hurt I'd brought into our home. James reached out one last time. "I'm sorry, Laura. I never meant to hurt you or anyone. But the hurt was done. My heart torn between two men, the steady love of my husband and the wild passion of my past." One evening, Michael and I sat down to talk. "I need to know if you want to fight for us," he said, his voice soft but firm. I searched my heart. I do, I whispered, tears falling. We agreed to try to heal, to rebuild trust, even if the road would be long and uncertain. James faded back into the past, a bittersweet memory of what might have been. I learned that love isn't just passion or nostalgia. It's about commitment, forgiveness, and choosing each other every day. Looking back, I don't regret seeing James. It woke me up, reminded me of the woman I was, and showed me the life I truly want. With Michael by my side, I'm ready to face whatever comes. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story hit you, smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more raw, heartfelt tales of love, temptation, and everything in between.